Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be talking about some advice that I think most coin collectors need to hear. And it's something that hopefully will make sense as I sort of go through my reasoning, but I think that you should be buying good coins. And that sounds like something that isn't that clear, so let me explain it. So I've repeated some similar advice in the past, but people say buy the best coins that you can afford, and I really agree with this. If you want to spend, say, 5,000 bucks on coins, or if you want to spend 250, or if you want to spend 100,000, I would probably tell you to go about it in a similar manner after you've sort of gotten the beginning collector part out of the way. I think what it comes down to is that you really want to own coins that you're happy to own and you're proud of and are in your collection, and people can also see, this is, it doesn't really matter what other people think, but I think it's fun to own coins that other people can also appreciate. So what I mean by that is, and I'll get into each of these in a little bit more, but you want to have coins that have significant history on them if you can. You want to have coins that are problem-free, have really nice eye appeal, and that doesn't mean really good condition, though you do want to get coins in the best condition that you can at a price point that is reasonable. And then I think you also want to have relatively rare coins, and I'll probably break some of these topics down really a lot in future videos, like as one-offs, but I think that I'll cover a lot of them here. I think that the big thing in terms of coins with history, and this doesn't, I would say either history or rarity, because the two, if you can get both, that's great. But I think some examples of these is like, you can either get a coin that's like really modern, made by the mint, that is pretty expensive, and maybe marketed as a low mintage coin or a rare coin, or you can go back in history and find something like a key date coin, or just a really nice eye appealing, a coin with nice eye appeal, looks great, from the early 1800s, or 1909 SVDB penny, things that are really rare and always sort of will be, and have gotten rare authentically as opposed to being minted in a modern way. Now, I've touched on that point a fair amount, but I think that even when you look at something like a key date, when collectors go about collecting, say you're collecting, let's see, the Mercury Dime series. If you have a really nice 1916D, that's always super rare, and it's going to be something that all Mercury Dime collectors want. And say you're buying that in like a XF grade, that's kind of expensive, but pick a coin that looks nice. It's XF, it doesn't have problems. I think that a lot of these coins, especially in the US market on expensive coins, you want to have graded probably by PCGS, possibly by NGC, but coins that look nice and have been well preserved, but that could be a nice good, for example, that just looks good. It doesn't have like a hard scratch that's going to make it a G detail scratch coin, because whenever you look at that coin you're going to see that scratch, whereas if you have one with nice even wear and a kind of normal wear color scheme, it's like this coin traveled around for a long time before getting plucked out of circulation, and it's one of the ones that are existing out there. I think that this also, one thing I haven't touched on is like looking at coins that are not from the US. There are some really relatively cheap coins that look great, have nice eye appeal, great rarity. Like I'm thinking of some of the 5 franc coins from France from the 1800s. Those are super cheap. It's like they're almost trading like they're Morgan dollars, but they're even older. They've got great designs, and you can get attractive, good-looking examples that, maybe it's in an XF condition or VF, it's been worn, but not a huge amount, and those might be like 30, 40 bucks. It doesn't have to be super expensive things. It could be, a nice large cent from the United States, or, a nice like 2 penny that's really super thick from Great Britain, some thick copper that, those coins are really cool coins. Same thing with Russia. There's some large Kopek, low denomination, chunky copper coins from the late 1700s. Very affordable. There's so many different, or it could be Chinese or Japanese coinage. There's medieval stuff. There's things from the, there's like Ottoman and Islamic coinage. There's some of the Indian coinage, and these date back way back. And there's really a lot of history. If you can go and type a few paragraphs up and just learn it in your mind, you don't have to go write an essay, but just really learn the place that coin and the role that coin played in the monetary economy of where it was existing. That's super special. And that's, I think, what makes collecting great, is that mix of, maybe it's really nice art on it, but it's got just a huge amount of history wrapped up in that coin. And then when you go to having a nice eye appeal coin, you do want to think about how you're going to resell it, and intelligently. A lot of these coins, this is more on the collecting side, right? Like when I collect coins, I'm not really thinking about the resale value as the primary thing, but I also want to be smart. So coins that are damaged, really hard to move. People don't want to pay for them because you're always going to be confronted with that damage. You want to have coins that are not messed with and look good and are problem free. That's the term for them that collectors use, because when you go to sell it, you're not going to have these problems that people will have to say, okay, well, I want to own the coin, but somebody put this in a piece of jewelry once and there's some really unnatural metal sort of clinging to the edges. Same thing goes with, and one of my favorite coins, Mint State 61. It's 1729. I think it's like a ducat from the Netherlands, or Utrecht. And it's Mint State 61, but I think it has really nice eye appeal. Looks good. But a lot of things like a Morgan dollar or something, Mint State 61, 62, those coins look really beat up. 63, there's probably some scratches, but if you can do it, maybe buy one 65 or buy like a 63 with the Carson City Mint. Or go after some really nice looking AU coins that just have good eye appeal. They're worn a little bit, but they can look great in a typeset. Copper, maybe it's XF coins, but then you can also get some super chocolate looking, good or very good condition coins that just have that natural wear pattern and haven't had like environmental damage and corrosion, where it's still a really good coin, as opposed to having to say, well, there's some corrosion in the corner and a little green or some pitting. Avoiding that, these coins are really desirable, so that's something you want to think about. And going back to a point that I was making earlier, 1916D dime, there's few collectors, or all collectors want to have that, versus a coin of the same condition that's like a 1942 in Mint State 67. I don't even know the value, but like super high, just blast white coin. Maybe for people collecting each of the Mercury dime set, but few people do that. People are probably going to want to pay for the really nice key date coins that are always going to have that standout rarity. I also said blast white because I think toned coins can be different. That can be a really challenging market to play because there's also artificial toning, and that can be a huge pain to deal with. Not going to get into that, but a coin can have some really nice sort of toning that's happened naturally and makes a coin stand out as just being original and a really good coin. And paying up a little bit for that, if the next person who's going to come along will appreciate that as well, I don't think that that's a mistake. Before I wrap this video up, I think that you also want to think about larger denominations. This is a tip, I'm not going to say who, but I was talking to a very, very established collector, and they said, look at larger denominations. You want to buy those. And why is that? Well, they're just much larger in your hand to hold. It's like a thick piece of monetary history, metal. It's very easy to sort of hold on to. You can see it a lot easier. A dollar coin versus a 2-cent piece, a really nice looking trade dollar or something, is just the magnitudes easier to see in your hand, and the eye appeal on that versus something that is a super niche. How many collectors are there of 2-cent pieces versus key date Morgans or a great looking trade dollar? I think that there's just it's much more easily appreciable, and people can sort of see with they don't need to be convinced that it's a super rare and good looking coin. I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but hopefully it does, because the more niche you get, I think if there's a really good market and you just find that one person who really wants the coin, you might be able to do outsize amounts of very well on those coins. But for the most part, you want to be thinking about the coins that have a wide appeal, and they're always going to be sort of in style. People know Carson City Morgans. People know, world gold coins is a great example. Or people see crown size gold, or crown size silver coins, like the 5 franc. Maybe it's the 5 mark in Germany. I'm trying to think of a few. I feel like there's like the 5 Lati in Latvia, once I came across some of those. But obviously the Great Britain, the crown, the 5 peseta in Spain. Or, there's just so many examples of these, and it's like these large coins. British trade dollars, Straits Settlements, which is colony trade, these large, the dollar coin, instead of, are people really looking to collect those 2-pence coins from the 1830s in Britain? I think a lot more people are going to say, wow, here's a full crown, great looking British coin. And, forget about, the great world stuff, often not graded, but stuff where people can just say, this is a thick piece of silver or whatever metal it is, and it's large, the devices are large, it's easy to see the art on it, and it's easy to understand quickly having it in your hand, and ideally also a little bit more liquid than some of the real specialty items. Lastly, when you go about doing this, especially if you don't have a huge dealing eye, it can often be smart to look for the coins in PCGS holders for US stuff, and NGC is cool too, but I think just with the state, and here's something I need to make a video on, how the market works right now. PCGS has a premium, especially with the US stuff. So if a coin's in an NGC holder and it's really high, there's probably a, high graded. People have tried to cross it to PCGS and it hasn't crossed. That's a very high likelihood. Same thing, it's probably been sent to CAC if it's a coin that can get the CAC sticker. So if it's not there, assume that it's not going to get the CAC sticker, unless you know that they were just freshly graded or something like that. So I think that those are just also some tidbits that I really need to make a full video on. But with the world market, grading is a little less important, and I don't really know that well PCGS, NGC. I think there's less sort of pop, or like the registry set collecting competition, so that makes a little less. That's more of a factor for US, though that might be changing these days. But just some food for thought. Buy really good coins. You're going to be proud to own them. Buy so I should give a few more examples. What about like Hawaiian, US made for Hawaii coinage in the mid to late 1800s? What about some of the, if you have, low 5 figures to spend, maybe think about some like non-federal gold, so like some really nice California gold or Colorado gold, or like Bechtler or Templeton Reed. I mean, some of these coins are like 6 figures, but it's super, super rare and showcases awesome history. So that's what I think about. Buy them and you'll enjoy owning them. And when the time comes, if you're smart about it, you have a good plan, it's probably not going to be the sort of case where you have a bunch of $50 coins sitting around that are tough to move and you get crushed selling to a dealer, as opposed to that a few crown pieces that you've always enjoyed holding. There's clear rarity, and gives you a better outcome. At the same time, have fun with collecting, do it your own way, but hopefully this raises some points. I'd be curious to hear, especially from people who actually don't agree with me, or maybe would have rephrased something that I said in a slightly different way. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. I've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can follow me there. TreasureTownYT.com is the main channel website. Definitely give that a visit. I've got a lot of information about me up there and the channel. CoinGrabBag.com as well currently redirects there, but it's some good opportunities for very fair grab bags, both made by me and other sellers. A lot of different options, so that's a good way to support. There's also TreasureTownCoins.com. In the future, my coin dealing operation will be done out of that website. CoinMeltPrice.com for updates on the melt prices of your coins, both US and world. A lot of resources in that website. And then CoinsMetalsCards.com, being developed right now as a marketplace and news source for coins, metals, cards, and collectibles in general. So I'll see you on my future videos. Looking forward to seeing you there, and hope you have a good day.